What is going on, everybody? If you don't know, now you do know. You're officially tuned into a very special edition of the HFWB podcast series. This is your host, Clifton Pope, and with me today, I have a very special woman who's a very special go-getter and a very special hustler in her own right, and let me tell you why. Because I remember when I first met her, whenever I put together my Get Rich, Stay Wealthy series, and we were basically bringing people together as far as like to tell their own story. There was just something about this person who I'm about to bring on to where it's like, you know what? I love her story. I want to have her on my podcast. And I feel like we connected and click on so many different things. And it's like, who doesn't love a little bit of soul food, right? Especially when it is done the Big Mama way. And that, I love it. I respect it to the fullest. And yeah, without further ado, please welcome the lovely Miss Aaliyah Kemp, who is the founding owner of Rill Spill and Fill, to the HFWB podcast series. Aaliyah, it has been long overdue to make this happen. How's it going?
It is going good.
Yes. Well, for everybody who is listening to the HFWB podcast series, right, and who wants to know who is Aaliyah Kemp, the person overall, describe your journey to the people who are listening and how you came into the position you're in today.
Okay. So I am a mom, first of all. I am a mom. And that's really the foundation of what got me started is I want to say it was 2017, 2018. I was pregnant with my son, and
Mm-hmm.
before I had any kids, I had worked like in like different bar settings and stuff. So once I got pregnant with him, I didn't really have a backup plan or anything like that. So financially, it was like a very, very different because I clearly couldn't be in the bar setting and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I kind of was like, well, what could I do to make money? Because, minimum wage jobs they weren't cutting it as
It's just
far as
not cutting it.
bills. Yeah, they weren't cutting it as
Exactly.
far as bills. I didn't have a degree or anything like that. So I was kind of like, I'm used to like right now money. I need to figure something out. That way,
Mm-hmm.
also, the other thing was daycare is very, very costly.
It's expensive and it
Yes.
adds up.
Yes,
It
it was
does.
very costly, still is. And um, I had assistance for that, but a lot of moms know you have to be on waiting lists and all kinds of things. So up until all that fell into place, I was like, okay, I need to figure something out that I can make money, have my son here with me, and be able to just, all in one thing. So I started, uh, I came up with the idea of just like, selling plates type of thing
Mm-hmm.
around 2018. And I would do that with him like on my hip sometimes. I would do that with him like in the bouncer in the living room while I'm in there cooking and putting plates together. And at first I was very like, I don't even know if it's good because I've actually came a long way with the taste and everything. So I was like, I don't know if it's
Mm-hmm.
good. I don't know if anybody's even gonna buy anything from me. Like it's me who's gonna just say, oh, she can cook. She's gonna.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I would take my food to different places, honestly, different businesses, people that I knew they would buy from me and everything. And it was okay. It was bringing money in. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it was bringing money in. So I was like, okay, I can do this. Well, then I kind of got I want to say I kind of got burnt out with it a little bit because it got
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming. I guess newborn baby, this and that. It was just too much at the time. So
Mm-hmm.
I had took a break on it. I kind of like lost the drive to want to do that anymore, and I was looking at it more of like a hustle more than like something I actually loved doing at the time.
Right.
So that I think burnt me out. Also, I didn't love what I was doing at the time. So fast forward a few years, let's say 3 years, 4 years, um, which would have been like last year or the year, something like that. This past year too.
Right.
Um, I kind of got into it more because people, honestly, people started asking me out of nowhere, like, "Hey, you don't do the whole food thing anymore. You don't do the whole food thing." And I was like, "Man, they really like my food." Like,
Mm,
I don't know. I was really sleep on myself, and I was, and I still kind of am. And I was like, "Wow, they really like my food." So I kind of got into it more. I would post on my social media, like, if you're interested, this and that. Well, it started getting to the point where I was selling out. So I was like,
mm,
okay, maybe I should take this a little more serious. My son's older, he's going into school. I have more time for myself to do that and everything. So I was like, maybe it's time. So I went, and then I did the whole thing you have to do as far as getting your business certified and all that stuff legally.
mm,
I did all that, and so from there, now we're at this point to where now I do catering jobs. I still do my individual, because people still ask all the time. But
mm-hmm.
the main thing that I do now is catering, big parties type of thing. And that's going good. That's going good. I definitely want to get it more, progress more, of course. But it's I've kind of amazed myself just starting off like as a hustle, just to make some money to pay some bills. Into like, wow, I actually love
It's
cooking.
I know it's funny you mention that. It always starts out like that too, Aaliyah. It's something that you wind up hustling, you turn into a little bit of a hustle, then you wind up loving the hustle, and then
Hmm.
next thing you know, it turns more into a passion and into something that you love and everything. Like, for instance, whenever I was writing my book, for example, I was just doing it more as a hustle, a little bit as a hustle, but at the same time, I wanted to tell my story just to a few people. If a few people can hear it, cool with me.
Hmm.
There was to a point where, like, this time, I want to say like June last year, there was a stretch to where it's like I was running out of copies of my book so quick. I had to order them like almost every 2 3 weeks at one
Yeah.
point. So like the journey of just like going through everything as far as the come up, and then of course you mentioned getting burnt out at one point. I can definitely relate to
Hmm.
that. There's been times where I've gotten burnt out to where I had to put everything on pause for a
Hmm.
little bit. Then it always takes that one person to tell you, "Hey, what happened? You're not doing it anymore." And then
Uh-huh.
you're like, you got to get right
Oh.
back into it and pick up right where you left off.
Yeah.
As far as when you were going through that period in that time, Leo, what sparked you to want to take it to a whole nother level as far as just like, okay, I'm going to go all in on this. I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to see what happens. What sparked you to do that exactly?
Honestly, I just didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Honestly, I basically was like,
I've been there.
okay, I was like, people are asking, like, hey, what's up with your food? And hey, you're not doing this and this anymore. And I'm like,
Mhm.
maybe I should get back into it just to, like, make money. They're asking, why not? But then I was like, okay, you're making again right now money, but what do you
Mhm.
want to do? Because again, like I said, my son is really the foundation of everything. So I'm thinking like, okay, what do you want to do? Because you kind of need to figure something out. You have somebody depending on you.
Mhm.
So I even still sometimes I guess I get in my head and I'll self doubt and I'll be like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to? But then I'm like, I'm really good at it. I am really good at it, and I
Yes.
enjoy it, especially when I have help. I enjoy it. So
Hmm.
I was kind of like, why not? Why not take it serious? Why not take yourself serious? And if you over time, if I don't like it, if I decide I want to do something else, I could go do that. But let's at least start something. Let's get some type of business going where and make yourself not just somebody that cooks, but be a business owner, get booked,
Yeah.
get things like that. So that's what did it is I just had no idea what I wanted to do.
Yeah, you just decided, Aaliyah, basically to take control of your own destiny and basically
Yeah.
be your own boss and be in control of your life. And you're doing that really well. I mean, I remember going back to like the event where we first originally met, and whenever I tried your food, I was like, damn, this food is really, really
Yeah.
good. Now I see why Kay Renee brought her into the picture was for this exact reason. I was like, yeah, we need to definitely like get her out there a lot more. Like like, to be honest, I didn't know about you that much until the event we met
Mm-hmm.
at, and then to see your growth from that to where we are now. Fast forward to us linking up here again. It's like one of those full circle moments. And for
Mm-hmm.
anyone who is listening to the HFWB podcast series, you need to contact Aaliyah Kemp. Her food is incredible,
Thank
and
you.
as a matter of fact, a lot of people don't know the name Rill Spill and Fill, where it came from. It was actually originally going to be like a little bit of a tea shop idea or something like that.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know that. Can you please elaborate on that, Aaliyah, and how the
Yes.
name came together and stuff?
So, okay, so I had a friend at the time and doing she was doing a clothing line type of thing. So,
Uh-huh.
she basically I saw her kind of doing her business thing and I was like, well, it kind of it motivated me a little bit to say
Uh-huh.
like, it doesn't seem that hard to run a business. Like I definitely thought it was way more hard, and it is hard, but I thought it was way more hard to start basically.
Right.
So I took trips with her to go to like certain seminars and stuff, and I was like, well, I kind of wanna. And this is again, the food idea was there, but not. I wasn't taking it serious. And I
Right.
was
Right.
like, maybe I know I'm very into like herbal type of things and like self healing and herbal healing and just tea in general. Like I love drinking my morning tea and everything. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
Corpus Christi, we really don't have we have coffee shops, but not really tea shops. So especially where it shows, this can help with this and this can help with that.
Right.
So
Right.
okay, so again, we went to Houston to go to like these different seminars, and I was like, you
Mm-hmm.
know what? I'm out here. I want to go look for basically not a tea shop, but like somewhere I can buy in bulk, like just to see what's out there. So
Right.
we went and we did that. We kind of we went to a few places actually, and at the time she was like, what? Like, not, I don't want to say doubted me, but it just, she didn't understand what I was saying. Like,
You didn't see your vision on what you wanted to
yes,
do
it
and
was like a
everything.
tea
Yeah.
shop. Like, nobody's going to drink tea. Like, it was kind of, huh? Well, once we got to one of the places that I found, this man, I don't know if he's a certified doctor or not, but he's an herbalist. So
Oh,
he
yeah.
was like, basically he looked at both of us and he told her, hey, you have this and this going on with you, and you have this and this going on with you, and I could tell that just from looking at you, by your skin, by the way your eyes are sunken, the way like your teeth, everything.
Wow.
So we went into the office and we're talking, so that really, like, I was like, wow, this is exactly what I want to do, and just be able to, so once I did that, I was like, oh yeah, I have somebody I can come and like talk to if I need advice on it and this and that. So
Mm-hmm.
I got off track. I'm sorry. Okay, so basically, that was in my head, and I was like, I can sell like little pastry type of things, little sandwiches, stuff like that. So I went online and I was like looking for a name, like what comes from the earth, what natural type of thing for a name. So I had saw what a rill meant, and so it's like a river, not a river. It's like a crack in the ground, basically, um, that water runs through, and it's called a
Mm.
rill. So it was basically
Okay.
like dirt, like the dirt, water, tea, basically. So
Interesting.
yeah, so I was like, okay, rill, and then spill, obviously, like spilling tea type of thing. It was like catchy. Then I was like, well, I'm gonna have food too, so let me just add the fill to the I was like, let
I
me add
love
the
it.
fill. So once I came up with the name, I kind of started like a little business plan, but it didn't, not that it didn't sound right to me, but it was more of, again, self-doubt. Nobody's gonna drink tea. Like, maybe she's right. Nobody's drinking tea like that and this and that. So I was like, maybe I should just take this and promote my food with it, And then once that becomes successful, then I can go back into the tea thing and like branch off from it basically. And that still is the goal. I still want to do a tea shop and branch it off. Um, but yeah, basically that's where Rill Spill came from, Rill Spill and Fill. And I'm thinking about changing the name though because it's I don't sell tea at all, and so
No, I mean it's that's a wonderful story, and it's like it's one of those things that just happened by accident based on how you were
yeah,
describing it. It's like you weren't intending on it, but then it caught on, and I was like, huh, I might be working. I could work with this for a little
yeah,
bit. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. I actually think it's clever as far as the name itself, especially the real part. I was personally wondering where that came from, but once you explained it, I'm like, you know what? That actually does make a lot of sense.
yeah,
You had me thinking for a second. I was like, okay, I see the clever catchiness you did
yeah,
there, Aaliyah. I love it. I'm all about it. I mean, look at what my thing is: health, fitness, wealth, business. I
yeah.
mean, hey, I get where you're coming from as far as the catchiness, without question. So, if anybody would want to order from you, what would be like your traditional go to dish that is your personal favorite that you would recommend to everybody? For those who are listening and who are wondering, what does she have? What can I order? Blah blah blah.
So people ask me that all the time. Um, I want to say, okay, so I guess it would be not so much my personal favorite, but what I sell out every single time the most, and what's always recommended, and I get harassed about is beef tips. I make beef tips over
Mm,
rice, and then I'll do sometimes I'll do cabbage or I'll do greens with it on the side, and I'll do like macaroni or canned yams or stuff like that with
mm.
cornbread. So that's probably the number one thing. And outside of that, I'm trying to think what's another. Honestly, I sell out most of the time because people really like it. So I want to say everything is good, but but
Hey, that's some
that
confidence right there. You got to be confident in what you do. I
yeah,
love it.
that would be the number one. And lately, I don't know if it's that a lot of people, which is weird to me because we're in South Texas, a lot of people haven't tried fried ribs. So I've
Mmm.
made those a few times, and those are a
Mmm.
hit. People love them, and they ask me all the time,
Oh.
"When are you making them?"
No, it's funny that you mentioned that, Aaliyah, as far as fried ribs, because I went to Orange,
I'm
Texas. I want
sorry.
to say just not this past weekend, but the previous weekend before that, and it was a family get together, and they had fried ribs there, and that was actually my first time trying them, and I was like,
It's
"Damn, these are
different.
really good. How come I've never had fried
One
ribs
moment. I'm
before?
sorry.
What's really
I'm
going
like,
on?"
I can't hear. One moment. Let me get my dog. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It is all right,
One
but
moment.
overall, the fried ribs are definitely very slept on, and definitely very tasty for sure. And I remember like when I had them for the first time, I was like, man, I need to start having more of these.
Mm,
And then I love how you mentioned the beef tips. I remember that was what me and my girlfriend Emily had.
yes.
Wonderful stuff, wonderful food. I mean, it's quite the journey that you've been on, just as far as how far you came, Aaliyah, and at the same time how far it is that have to go. Most importantly, as far as the overall direction, as far as what you're doing, as far as cooking, the catering business, food industry, all that good stuff. In your personal vision, where do you see it going or heading towards? A few years down the line, for instance.
So I would say the goal would be, I definitely want to open a restaurant here in Corpus for sure.
Hmm.
Um,
And you should.
I definitely I want to do kind of like a lounge restaurant type of thing. I don't know if you've been to in Houston. They have like Taste Kitchen, and they have
Oh
yeah.
yes,
So that kind of like that type of setting.
I can see that.
Yeah. Kind of like, I don't want to say fancy, but fancy soul food. not just cafeteria style soul food. You know, you go places.
High class soul
Yes,
food.
yes, high class soul food. Yes. So
I love it.
I want to do something like that here in Corpus, and then eventually, I want to branch off, and I want to open a place in Houston and in San Antonio. And once I have those three, I'll probably stop at that. But I want for sure Houston, San Antonio, and Corpus.
We doing big things in the state of Texas. We
Yeah.
trying to do the Texas 3-step Texas takeover.
Yeah.
I'm loving the vision, Aaliyah.
Yeah.
And for everyone who's listening to the HFWB podcast series, if Aaliyah doesn't symbolize what someone who has a vision, ain't afraid to change it up in the middle of it, keep that same vision going, and just most importantly, keep the hustle going. You definitely should be inspired by this
Thank you.
if you're somewhere as far as just trying to get yourself on the ground running and stuff like that. And I want to stick to that for a second, Ali. If anyone who's listening to this HFWB podcast series and is wondering how they can get themselves off the ground running and basically just being their own boss and starting their own business, what would be the one thing you would tell them?
The one thing I would tell them to get started. Don't be afraid to get started. Don't get in your own head. I struggle with that so much as far as getting in my own head, and I'll
I
talk
can
myself
relate.
out of things, or just okay, example, this podcast, you had reached out to me a few times before this, and I was like, oh, I don't want, and I'm thinking I'm gonna have I'm thinking we're gonna be like on the Breakfast Club, like I'm gonna have mics in my face and cameras and all this stuff. So
Oh
I
man.
was like, yeah, I don't know about an interview. I don't know about that. I don't like being on camera. In my head, I didn't think
Yeah.
bigger picture. Like you have such an audience, that to put my name out there, things like that. It was just being stuck in my head, and I've done that with different situations with my business, as far as just just starting the business itself, like you asked. I was in my head like it's so hard to just start your own business. I don't even know where to start, and literally all I had to do
Hmm.
was Google and ask. That was it. And I realized, oh, there's websites that actually give you your LLC, your EIN, everything you need. If you don't want to go to the courthouse and do that, I don't know how it is in other states, but I know Texas, you have to do everything individually within the courthouse if
Hmm.
you do it like that. So even that, I was in my head like, that's too much. That's just too much for me to do. I don't want to go to the courthouse and talk to all these different people about, I don't even know what I'm talking about, type of thing. Not realizing
Hmm.
like everybody has to start, and whenever they do start, they don't know either. So just try. So once I got online and I figured out, oh, I could do it online, I just went that route. I got my LLC and everything, my permits and all that. I got it all online, and once I got it, I was, of course I was happy, but I was kind of like a weird way a little disappointed in myself, because I was like, wow, you could have did this a long time ago. You sat there and you like you sat there and you just overthought this.
I love it.
Yeah, like you overthought this so much, as if there's not millions and billions of people out there that have no idea what to do when they start a business. And I'm like,
Hmm.
you really wasted a lot of time overthinking, and you could have done this about 4 or 5 years ago. But I
Hmm.
mean, I very much believe in like the right timing. So even if you don't feel like it's the right timing, one moment, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
My dog keeps on barking.
It's all good.
um yeah, I was like, I could have done this a long time ago, but I'm just glad that I got out of my head, and I try to discipline myself. That's the other thing, is discipline. It definitely
Hmm.
takes a lot of discipline, because I myself will kind of straddle off, and I'll have to be like, no, 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 get back over here. You have a business
Hmm.
to run. You got to take yourself serious. And then I've been telling myself, if you don't take yourself serious, nobody is. If you don't take yourself serious, nobody is.
That's the truth.
So that would be another thing I would say, is take yourself serious if you're trying to start a business, even if it's the in your head the most useless, dumb business that there could be. Take yourself serious, because how you carry yourself with your business, people are gonna look at you like, oh, that's, even though it's a dumb business, they take it pretty serious. I wonder what that is. I wonder what's going on with that. They get interested.
Yeah.
Like me, if I were to say, oh, I just make plates, I just cook, nobody's gonna say, let me book with her. Nobody's gonna say, I want her for my party, to cater for my party or my business meeting or anything. They're just gonna be like, oh, she just cooks, plates here and there. I had to take myself serious to where I say now I have a catering company, I have a catering business. This is what I do. I this and this, and people, once I say that, they kind of give you the look like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's just for me wording it different, having more confidence in myself. So that's what I would say is, don't be in your head, and definitely have confidence in what you're doing. Even if you're not confident in it, act like you have confidence.
Exactly. It's like you have to get out of your head in order to stay ahead and
Right.
continue to be ahead. I
Right.
love that. And that's something I feel like everyone who's listening to this episode of the HFWB podcast series should have on repeat, rewind, all of the above. So basically, Aaliyah, we're at the point of my podcast where I basically ask like a list of questions on for everyone who comes on. Basically, give people a little insight on about you yourself, most importantly. My first question is simple. What is the first thing you do or think of every single day that you wake up?
The first thing I do, the
And
first
be honest.
I do, sadly, the first thing I do is I check my phone.
You're not the first person who
I
said that.
check
And
my phone, and then I try to remember as much as I can. I try to remember, and I get on myself because I look at my phone. I still halfway closed, and I'll tell myself, "Wow, you haven't even thanked God yet." So I try to, I try to remember, thank God for the day, and then I check my phone, and I'll normally school days, I'll wake up, make my tea, get my son together, all that. So
mhm.
that would be the first thing is I check my phone and I thank God.
Amen to
Yeah.
that. Amen. But when I think of these two words, health and wealth, what does it mean to you as far as your own personal definition of health and wealth in your eyes, Aaliyah?
Health to me is how you take care of yourself, not just physically, of course, like working out, being active, but also what you put into your body, whether that's food, whether that's alcohol, drugs, anything.
Mm,
It makes a
I
difference.
love that.
And then mental health also, I feel like, is the biggest thing. I feel like everything ties together. Again, like that's what I was trying to get into
Hmm.
with the teas and all that, because everything ties together.
Yes,
If you're drinking all the time, if you're eating horribly all the time, you just, your mental health, it gets affected by it
it does.
very much,
It
very
really.
much. So that is what I would say on health. Wealth, I feel like wealth, I there's a to me there's a difference between wealthy and rich. So wealth, I feel
Mhm,
like, is for you, generations after you, to be
mhm.
successful, and not only just money wise, but just like in your spirit, just to be wealthy with your spirit. As far as I think it was Bob Marley that I would hear say, you're as rich as how you feel, or something like that. Like you're as rich as how
Yes,
good your
yes.
spirit is. And like
Hmm.
basically I would rather have a wealthy spirit than wealthy money, and
Yes.
so like a home. I think it was like a documentary that I saw, and he was saying a poor man could be more wealthy than a rich man if he has a wealthy spirit. And I that's always stuck with me. So I
Yeah.
believe that very much too.
No, that's the truth. And I'll even add to that, since we're on the Bob Marley reference, one of his most famous lines: life is worth much more than gold.
Right.
And how is that much more worth more than gold? With a wealthy spirit. So I love how you threw that in there, Leah, because
Right.
that's the exact truth. Because when you have an uplifting spirit, you can lift everybody up, and then something about that to where it gravitates them towards you, to where it's like the blessings come in forms of gifts from those people because of you having such a good spirit and
Hmm.
that good energy and that good vibe that attracts other people to you. At
Hmm.
least that's what I personally have noticed within my own journey within just the last year alone. So I can definitely relate to that. I really can. We're gonna do a little something, Aaliyah. I like to call either or, where you basically pick either or, one or the other. Obviously,
Okay.
the first one is an interesting one. Would you rather have respect or loyalty?
Respect or loyalty?
Hmm.
Respect.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I probably would have respect because I feel like in in a certain way it's very rare for somebody to be completely loyal to you.
Hmm.
So it's not really like an expected thing anymore like in my life
Hmm.
growing up. But if I feel like if you respect somebody, whether you're loyal to me or not, you kind of know how far to take it. You know, like, okay, but wait, because she's this, so I can't even do that.
I like that. That's a very interesting answer right there.
Yeah.
Would you rather live in space or live in the ocean?
Space.
Would you rather be famous and poor or anonymous and rich?
Definitely anonymous and rich. I'm like, I do not like being on camera. I don't like, I always thought if I ever got famous, how would I handle it? Because I do not like that type of stuff.
Hey, I respect the honesty within that. I really do. Here's an interesting one. Would you rather turn invisible or be able to fly?
Invisible.
Interesting, interesting. Now I know, Aaliyah, you're a big music person. Would you rather dance to every song or sing to every song?
Mm, I would say dance. No, I would say sing because I feel like to me, you feel it more when you're, in the car by yourself or in the shower and
Right.
you're singing your heart out.
Yeah.
And it takes less work, energy. So I would definitely rather sing.
Got you. And since we're on this music tip, if you were trapped on an island and you had nowhere to go, and you could listen to five artists and their entire catalog for the rest of your life, who would they be and why? And it could be in any genre.
Okay. Um, I listen to mainly hip hop rap music. I want to say for sure Drake because I listen to Drake every day anyways. I don't have to be trapped anywhere to do
Uh,
that.
who doesn't listen to Drake every single day at
Yeah.
this point? I mean, the man is everywhere. Like, come on. It's hard not to listen to him.
Yeah, I'm like I do that without being trapped anywhere. Um, Drake for sure. I want to
Okay.
say Janae Aiko, just because I
Mm.
love her, but it's just good vibes. I could deal with that every day. I could deal with that every day. Um,
She's someone you would listen to just to have in the background, or if you're really just like thinking for sure. I
right,
love that. That's a
right.
good choice. Very
Um,
underrated.
who else?
You
Um,
got Drake, Janae Aiko. You got three more.
um, Probably Tim's, just because the same reason as Janae. It's good vibes. It's
Hmm.
peaceful to hear. It's easy on the soul.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
then um
Got it down to three.
some people might disagree with me, but I love Kanye. I love
Hey,
Kanye.
you got no disagreement for me here. I personally love Kanye myself. I love His first three albums to me forever will be solidified as hip hop classics to me
Right.
personally.
Right.
Even all his other albums after that were good, but them first three alone, I don't care what anybody says, I can listen to those over and I still get the same feeling I get whenever I heard it the first time. And
Yes.
that's all that
Yes.
matters.
That, and I feel like he's so versatile. Even the new stuff
Exactly.
that a lot of people probably would say that they don't like, I kind of like it because it's more of an art view of what he's doing to me. It's not really
Mhm.
like some of his stuff, like the lyrics are not it, but it's more of the, you could tell he did it for the sound. I think people
Yeah.
forget he's really an artist. So that, and it's,
And he's a producer.
yes, and it's a, like he has the his gospel albums. I guess it's like a gospel album. Even that I
The
like.
Jesus is King album.
Yes, yes, and it puts me in a good space whenever I hear it.
It does.
So
It's good to listen to on a Sunday for sure.
yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah, it's very even his latest one, the Donda, I had a few songs on there that I hear and I'm like, okay, this is making my mood better.
Yeah.
So that, and then I have one
So we got
more.
Drake, Janae, Tim's, Kanye. That's not a bad soundtrack right there.
I'm trying to think. Okay, so I'll be very what is the word, hype beast, and I'll say Little
Yeah.
Baby for sure. But I love Little Baby because he, it's not about killing and it's not about
Mm-mm.
drugs and it's not about, he might throw that in there, but it's not, he talks about real life things and more motivational
Yeah.
things. So I wouldn't mind hearing that all the time. He's someone like Drake, I listen to him every day anyways. So
Yeah. And I was just about to say, Little Baby's pretty much getting into that Drake field to where it's like, yeah, he's pretty much going to get to the point where he's everywhere,
he's
just like
everywhere.
Drake is.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, Drake is helping him already get to the point where he's everywhere. Like, I remember when I was watching his performance at the Grammys, I was just like, oh, damn, they got Little Baby on the Grammys. And most people were looking like, why is he up there? And then I was just thinking, like, you don't realize what he's saying and what he's
Right.
doing up there? I'm
Right.
like, come on now.
Yeah,
But
he's not an average rapper at all. At all.
mm, people don't realize how smart he is either. That's another
Yes.
thing. Whenever I be watching his interviews, I'm like, this dude has some gems for you. Let
Yeah,
me
and
tell you.
that's part of why I wouldn't mind listening to him all the time because the intellect is very, it's there. So you
Yes.
can learn from hearing him.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. Now, I know, Aaliyah, you're all over the place, and I know you're super busy most of the time, but whenever you're not doing everything that you're doing on a regular basis, what are some of the things that you like to do that people may not know that you like to do?
That I like to do,
Yes.
when I get free time. I like to I like to write music. I do.
There's nothing wrong with that. I respect that, the
I like
honesty within that.
I like to write music. Nobody really knows that about me.
Mm,
I've been getting into wanting to paint, but because
okay.
I'm normally busy, I haven't got into being able to do that yet. But like I
Uh-huh.
have my Amazon cart filled with canvases and paintbrushes and
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So that's something I'm gonna get into. I want to find the time to get into yoga a little bit.
Mm.
I really want to do that. That's part of like the health thing. I know you do the meditating thing. I want to get into that also. Um, those, I would say
Mm.
that's what I want to do. But like right now, what I do, I'll write music here and there. Um, Whenever I do have free time, honestly, I try to get a nap in because my sleep schedule is horrible. So that's my free time.
I'm with you on that. I do not have the best sleep schedule myself. So anytime I'm not doing the things I'm doing, I'd probably be somewhere taking a nap somewhere, either on my couch or in my bed, just at the most random times.
Yes,
It never fails every time.
wherever I can
Here's
get
my
it in
last.
at.
Exactly, exactly. My last question for you, Leah, and this is a very interesting one. If you had the opportunity, right, to go back in time and talk to yourself, say, 10 years ago, what would you tell yourself? And at the same time, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
Okay, 10 years ago, I was 18. Okay, what would I tell myself? I would definitely tell myself to move somewhere else to experience other things. And I would tell myself, don't get caught up in love, probably.
Mm, interesting.
At that age, I would tell myself that.
Got you, got you.
And then in 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
so that would be 38. In 10 years, I see myself very successful. I see myself with my 3 restaurants to the point where I don't have to be there ever. I just can pop in, make sure
Mm.
everything's good, type of thing. Um, I want to own properties and stuff like that. Um, 10 years from now, I just really want to have passive income that I don't have to work hard and be doing myself. And I could be on
Yeah.
vacation however many times out the year that I want to be on vacation.
I love that, and I feel like that is the best answer that I feel like I've received in asking that question. And I feel like that's something that I myself am not only trying to strive for, but that everyone should be striving for
Right.
that's listening to the HFWB podcast series. For those who are aspiring entrepreneurs, aspiring business owners, we're all trying to get to the same point where we're trying to literally make money in our sleep, to where we
Yes.
can go back, sleep, and be like, money's being made. I'm
I'm not worried
relaxed,
about
you
it.
know.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we're all trying to get to that, myself included, yourself, like you just alluded to, Aaliyah, and for any aspiring entrepreneur, business owner, or just anyone in general who's just trying to gain some sort of financial freedom. You should be trying to make enough money to where you can have it coming in to where you're sleeping and it's still coming in.
That,
And
yes.
I feel like that's the best way we should end this episode of the HFWB
That is
podcast
that is
series.
wealth to me. That's what wealth is to me. Definitely.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, Leah, let the people know where they can contact you, get in touch with your catering services and everything. As a matter of fact, I actually still I have one of your business cards actually
Okay.
up right here. For anyone who's listening to the audio version and not watching the visual, I'm basically holding up a picture of Aaliyah's business card for Rill Spill and Fill. But I'll let Aaliyah explain where you can get in contact with her in regards to that.
Okay, so I have my social media. So
Mm-hmm.
on, I'm trying to think because I have it written, typed out different on some of them. Facebook, I have Rill Spill and Fill, which is RILLSPILL, and then the word and is spelled out, and Fill FILL, and it's
Mm-hmm.
same Rill Spill and Fill on Instagram. Also, a lot of people can go to my personal page, which is Aaliyah Kemp, AALIYAHKEMP. Um, I have I would say the Snapchat, but that one's like more personal. So, but I do post on there, and that's how people contact me about it. But definitely Facebook, Instagram. I'm working on right now because I saw you have a business card, and I went to a seminar, and I'm working on getting. I got an idea from there, basically airdropping my contact info instead of having
Mm.
a actual card that you have to pass out that people probably just stick in their pocket and don't look at. Um, Basically, get it to where it's linked to the websites, and you can just airdrop it to phones around you in the space you're at. So I'll be having that also to where I could share my contact info easier. But yes, Rill Spill and Fill on Facebook and Instagram, and Aaliyah Kemp on Facebook.
And if you don't know, now you do know.
Yes.
Rill Spill and Fill is the real deal. And you heard it here first from yours truly, Clifton Pope from the HFWB podcast series. And it just goes back to the one thing I said earlier. It's like, if you haven't learned anything from this conversation me and Aaliyah have been having, it's quite simple. Just get out of your head so you can get ahead in life. And I guarantee you could accomplish anything that you want to accomplish. Look at what we're both doing. And if we can do it, so can you. And with that being said, Aaliyah, thank you so much for just dedicating time out of your busy schedule and simply blessing us with an appearance on the HFWB podcast series. It's all love always.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and for everybody who is listening to the HFWB podcast series, this is your host, Clifton Pope, and with that being said, I encourage y'all to stay healthy, wealthy, and blessed, and until next time, y'all, peace and love.